Now, if you made at least $50,000 in 2020 as a freight broker, then this video is definitely for you. The reason why I think you should watch this video, because as you start to make more money in your freight broker business, what you may also realize is you're sacrificing much more of your time in order to make that money. And even if you're making a whole lot of money, if you're giving up all or most of your time in order to make that money, then that's probably not going to be sustainable. Because time is your number one resource. And once your time is gone, it's over, it's never coming back. So in today's video, I want to show you how to preserve and be more time efficient by avoiding certain types of shippers. So now let's get into the business. So now before we get started, I want to make sure that we're on the same sheet of music. My videos usually help people out that are just getting started in their freight broker business. But today we're dealing with freight brokers who are already established, already making money in their business. Because I don't believe that a new freight broker should really be avoiding any type of customer. Because working with any of those customers will be an experience that I think you will learn from. So we're not talking to new freight brokers here, only freight brokers who are established and making money already. When I first started my freight broker business, I really didn't have a preferred type of customer. I was okay with working with any customer that was willing to give me an opportunity to learn more about their business and move some of their freight. Because at the end of the day, my responsibility was about gaining traction, gaining momentum, getting my business off of the ground. And what you have to realize is, as a new freight broker trying to establish operations, you really can't afford to be picky and choosy. You have to take what it is that you can get sometime. But I also think it's important to understand that some customers are not going to be worth your time. And it's going to be in your best interest, your company's best interest, to walk away from some of those customers and never look back. And you know what type of customer I'm talking about, right? The customers that you spend major time with, and unfortunately at the end of the time that you spend with that customer, there usually isn't any money. Or what about the customer that always wants something for nothing? As a matter of fact, come on inside and let me acquaint you with the three types of customers that I'm talking about that you should avoid. So shipper number one, the first type of shipper that I think you should avoid, or at least be very cautious of, is one that does not ask you for any of your credentials. Usually when you first get set up with a shipper, they're going to ask you for your motor carrier authority, your surety bond, your contingent cargo insurance, your W-9 maybe, in order for them to pay you. But if they don't ask you for any of that information, they just start sending you freight, and then they're going to even go ahead on and start moving freight with you without having any of that information, to me that's a red flag. Because just think about it. Here it is, a shipper is about to give you thousands of dollars of their freight, and they don't know who you are. They don't know anything about you. What that says to me is they're probably not going to pay you. So those type of shippers, avoid at all costs. When you see that happening, they haven't asked you for that information. Just think about it. Put yourself in that situation. If you were giving up thousands of dollars to a carrier, like you're getting ready to do when you get that shipper's freight, you're going to ask him for certain documentation. You're going to have him set up with your company before he moves any freight for you. You're going to have all of his information. So in the event that you need to contact him, you need to reach out to him, you have his information. If you need to report him to the FMCSA, you have all the information that you need in order to do that. Well, if you don't have that information, if a shipper hasn't asked for that information, to me, that's somewhere where you're going to say, hey, let me pump the brakes here. Let me look into this a little bit closer, because this could be a problem. This could be a shipper that has intentions of not paying me. So don't get overly excited and start making impulsive decisions. Sometimes we get on the phone with shippers and we lose our minds. It's like we're talking to shippers and we're so honored to talk to them that we forget about our processes and procedures that we have in place. Remember, we have those things, those checks and balances in place for a reason. And if that shipper hasn't asked for your information, then you need to double back. Hey, I noticed that you didn't ask for my motor carrier authority, my surety bond, my contingent cargo insurance. What's up with that? Is that not a concern to you? Have a conversation. Figure out what the situation is. That way you can better understand it. And if there's a reason why he hasn't asked for your information, maybe he can let you know. If it makes sense, then you can move forward. If it doesn't, definitely don't move forward, because it's your money at stake here. Now, the second type of shipper that I think you should avoid is one that sends you load sheets that already have prices on them. Now, what that tells me is when I see load sheets that have prices already, is that I'm probably not going to be able to make a decent profit as a freight broker. So when I see that, I'm going to do one or two things. I'll start out with that shipper and I'll say, hey, let me give this a chance. I'm going to go out and see what I can move the load for. If I can move the load at this price and still make money, then great. If I can't move loads and make money at that price, then I'll go back to the shipper and say, hey, I can't move it at this price, but I can move it at this price. If they say, okay, then they'll go with it, no problem. But if they come back and they tell me something like, hey, our prices are set in stone, we don't move our prices, those are the prices that we move the freight at, and that's it, then that's something that after a while, you may want to look at and say, man, how am I going to make profit in this? If you can see a way to make profit, maybe you want to stay with that customer. But usually for me, if I see a shipper that's trying to set his own prices, then that's not a shipper that I want to work with. Because at the end of the day, that's the whole purpose of me being a freight broker. I get to set my own prices. I go to the shipper and give the shipper a price to move freight, and then I take whatever price that is, now I can take that to the carrier and move it less than that and make a decent profit. But it starts off with me structuring my own deal, having my own price where I can move freight at and make money. See, the price that the shipper has is what's convenient for the shipper. Shippers don't price loads so that brokers can make money. Brokers must price those loads so that the broker can make money. Now, the third type of shipper that I think you may want to consider avoiding is one that has slow credit. What we usually do sometimes as freight brokers is if you're working with a factoring company and the factoring company comes back and says, hey, Brandon, we're not going to finance this particular shipper right here. What we'll do is say, okay, understand, we'll take that shipper and tell them that our factoring company is not going to work with them, but we're going to work with them offline. We're not going to work with them through the factoring company. So now you are dependent on that shipper paying you. But what you need to remember is whether the shipper pays you or not, when you get a truck to move that load, you have to pay the carrier. You may want to think of it this way. If a person goes to a bank and they cannot borrow money from the bank says that you are not worthy for us to loan you money, then it's probably a good idea for you not to loan that person money, because if they're not going to pay the bank back, if the bank don't think that they have the capability of paying them back, and they have way more money than you have, why would you go and loan that person money? Well, that's the same way with your factoring company. If your factoring company has come and said, hey, Brandon, this guy's not credit worthy, we're not going to extend credit to this particular shipper, then why would I come in and say, you know what, shipper, you don't have to worry about being financed through the factoring company. I'm going to finance you on my own. I don't have more money than the factoring company. The factoring company has gone through a process, and this shipper didn't meet the criteria, didn't meet the requirement in order to receive credit. So why would I go out and finance that shipper? Usually we do that because we get excited, we want to get a load moved, but always remember that could put you in a financial burden. So now, in conclusion, as freight brokers, we're in the business of making money. And in order for us to make money, we have to have good customers, customers that pay and pay on time. And what happens sometimes is we put the customer's interest in front of our own interest. And yes, again, it's about customers and doing what we need to do by customers in order to make money. But at the same time, we can't look to help the customers and kill ourselves. We have to make sure that the customer is going to do what the customer says he's going to do. And when it comes time to paying your bills have to be paid on time in order for you to stay in business. Because at the end of the day, you have to pay someone as well. It's not like you're just getting money and you're putting that money in your pocket. You have to also pay your carriers. And carriers don't care that the shipper didn't pay you. They don't have much at all to do with that. So your responsibility is to make sure that you're getting good customers, customers that pay you and pay you on time. That way you can sustain your business, you can stay in business, and you can keep getting paid. If you don't get paid, you don't have a business. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I certainly hope this information has been helpful. If you're interested in learning more about the freight broker business, check out my free 5-video series titled How the Load Movement Process Works, link in the description. And if you want to know how freight brokers earn $10,000 per month, every single month, I'm going to walk you through that step by step in my free video titled How Freight Brokers Earn $10,000 per month with Just One Shipper. So until the next time, see you at the top, because the bottom is much too crowded.